Thanks, Ghida. Well, we're now joined by Rabbi Michael Lerner, the editor of Tikkun magazine. Thanks so much for joining us. First of all, do you think that a ground invasion of Gaza is the right way for Israel to deal with its grievances against Hamas?
No, I think that the attacks by Hamas have been outrageous and have led Jews who are in any event suffering from post-traumatic stress disorders from the long history of struggle and violence in the Middle East, but also a longer history of trauma from the Holocaust and from the oppression that we face both in European and Arab countries, to react in ways that are not in the best interests of Israel. Israel needs to reject the notion that its security can come through domination of the Palestinian people. Instead, we have to understand that security in the 21st century will best be achieved through generosity and caring. And that means an open-heartedness on the part of the Israeli people, who actually have far superior power, towards the Palestinian people. And it requires a real change in the dominant paradigm from domination to generosity. And unfortunately, that kind of thinking is seen as naive and utopian by the media in the United States, and that is a big champion of militarism. And that's why we in Tikkun are sponsoring an ad campaign now to try to counter the media's spin on the Middle East. We're calling for an immediate ceasefire, and we are also calling for the convening of an international conference to once and for all end this struggle and create, if necessary, impose a settlement that is both provides security for Israel and also justice for the Palestinian people, because there is no solution to this whole problem that doesn't include a real just solution for the Palestinians, including reparations for Palestinian refugees who have been living in terrible conditions around the Arab world.
You mentioned that some say it's too idealistic to talk of generosity. Some Palestinians would say, though, that all they want, they don't even want Israel to go as far as being generous. All they want is an end to the occupation. I've put the question time and time again to Hamas people as they want you to stop firing the rockets. They say, just tell Israel to stop the occupation. 41 years is too long.
Well, it is too long, and many American Jews, as well as many of us in the spiritual and religious communities, feel that the occupation must end. And but again, our problem is, how do we get our message and our worldview out? And that's why, unfortunately, we have to spend, for example, to buy an ad in the New York Times costs $65,000. To buy an ad in the Washington Post costs even more. That's why we have to run for ordinary people, people who watch this show, and other people who feel that the situation has to change. We are taking a full-page ad, and that campaign addressed to President Obama and asking President Obama, call for a ceasefire now and call for an international conference now. Let's use this moment to end this conflict once and for all. And obviously that requires, in part, ending the occupation. But ending the occupation will not be sufficient if Palestinians are still put in a position of economic oppression. So I wish those Arab ministers who are in the United States now, they should be bringing not just a policy of ending the occupation. They should be bringing some of their money to help rebuild Palestinian cities and help the Palestinian people directly.
A very brief question, because I think we've got about 60 seconds left. But why is it so difficult for you to get your message out? The idea that many people have is that the Jewish American community is very well placed. Why is it so difficult for you?
Well, there's a big split between the tiny elite of the Jewish population, the 20% that voted for Bush, and the 80% that voted for Obama. The 20% who voted for Bush have all the money. The rest of us are much less well-heeled, and that's why at our website, Tikkun, Tikkun.org, at Tikkun.org, we are seeking support.
Oops, unfortunately, we seem to have lost him there. Well, it is time